and welcome back to another Refined Power update. Today we're checking out the huge mod update from Refined Power that includes both a few nice balances as well as a total overhaul of the way we approach vanilla-based power generation. And afterwards we'll be talking about the future updates of the mod and what the team will be working on next. Also, if you do enjoy my content, then be sure to check me out on Twitch, as we also stream regularly on there. Anyway, let's jump into it. Looking over the Refined Power milestones, our first update comes with the Mk1 Refined Power milestone, which is unlocked with 200 iron plates and 150 iron rods. Unlike the previous version, which unlocked the automatic biomass burner, this time you only unlock the Mk1 wind turbine. Now note that with the many additions, we also have Ada talking about the hub tier unlocks, which is a nice little addition.
Milestone reached. The Refined Power R&D division have developed a new power generation method. This building can generate up to 30 megawatts of power based on its altitude. Note, if a wind generation device is within the vicinity of another building of the same type, performance will not be optimal. Stay efficient.
Each Mk1 turbine costs a total of 20 iron plates and 30 iron rods and comes with 2 power line joints, allowing us to daisy chain everything together. Now, a single turbine can generate a maximum of 30 megawatts. However, as before, they generate a maximum power based on how high they are and how many turbines are nearby. So in order to maximize the power output, they should be placed at least 3 foundations apart, and do note that for each turbine in proximity, power is roughly halved, making it pointless placing turbines next to each other than for decoration's sake. Our next unlock in Hub Tier 2 is the automated biomass generator. To unlock, you need 100 iron rods as well as 100 iron plates and 20 solid biomass. Now, I actually really like what they've done here. By giving this its own tier later on, they allow this mod better integration with the vanilla game. It feels like an upgrade rather than a mod, and having mentioned in our first review it needing the resource price balanced out, I can really appreciate using them, with them now costing 8 reinforced iron plates and 6 rotors to create. These allow you to automate the biomass generators rather than needing to be hand-fed constantly, and although I really would like them to add a conveyor input skin on the back to really refine this part of the mod, I am generally very happy with what they've done with it. Moving on, we have the Hub Tier 3 unlocks, starting with Refined Power Mk3, giving us the water turbines. Now, these have been tweaked since our last spotlight to now being placed on water nodes, which can be searched for using the scanner. Nodes, similar to ores, have various levels of power production, the max being 50, which you'll see at the top of waterfalls, 20 megawatts along river rapids, and finally 8 megawatts at slower points in the stream. Next, we have the Mk1 solar panel. Now, this is the first unlock, but requires photovoltaic cells that are unlocked in the carbon refining hub tier, which we won't go into details in regards to item manufacturing, as I kind of covered this in our old spotlight. But once you've assembled some photovoltaic cells, you can build the Mk1 solar panel, which will constantly generate up to 20 megawatts of power. Now, obviously at night you do generate considerably less, and also the slider on this particular item is currently incorrect, but this is all subject to change anyway, as solar is still in development, and they'll be working on that soon. Our next tier unlock is the biggest new feature of the mod, Modular Power Generation, something that I've been rather excited for. Unlocked with 25 reinforced plates, 35 rotors, 200 iron rods and 500 cable. At this point, the mod kind of replaces the vanilla power in-game, although I would change the phrase build gun to build tool, but I'm just being pedantic there. This allows us to create modular power plants, having heaters and boilers in segregated areas to the turbines and generators, as well as the cooling towers, allowing us a whole lot more customization for our builds in-game. There are three main components: the boiler section, converter section, and cooling, all of which need to be placed on a platform but can be placed where you wish around your factory. Now, with each power generator, there are 4 segments to the setup. So first off, we have a boiler platform, which will allow you to attach a heater, and that can be heating coal, biomass, or even fuel, depending on which heater you're using, and above it a boiler. Now we will then have a second segment placed on the converter platform, which uses a generator and turbine, and the last 2 segments are the cooling platforms, one for carbon dioxide and a second one for steam cooling. Now, once everything is connected, we can see that the mod developers have really gone into detail with the heaters, forcing us to heat fuel up first in order for it to start being used. I love this because it forces us to have backup solutions available if power goes down, and this is because it would take a while to heat the generators up again. There's also additional detail in the turbine screen that allows us to adjust the RPM of the turbine, allowing us to generate more power or less according to our needs. But for now, I'd just recommend keeping it at full. However, it will be used in future updates. In all, this modularity is a great addition to power in-game, as it adds a lot more options to power generation at the cost of added complexity and resources compared to the vanilla. That being said, it also makes new fuel types easier to implement into your current power setup, as you just need to swap out the heater. Now, it would actually be pretty nice if there was a way to check a box that would stop us from being able to access vanilla power assets from coal onwards in this playthrough, because I feel that if I struggle with power, I'm more likely to set up a temporary vanilla power plant. And with this mod, vanilla power structures, with the exception of the biomass generators, are really not needed. And I feel that the beautiful work that's gone into the skins really reward the player when they build massive power plants, and this should be encouraged. One last thing that I do want to mention on Modular Power is the addition of alternate recipes. For example, you can now use the CO2 with a refinery to create carbon dust, and with the foundry, they've also added an alternate steel recipe, which uses this carbon dust alongside iron ore to produce steel ingots. Along with all the other recipes Refined Power brings to the table, this is just another little addition, a little detail that they've added, which I think is very nice. And whilst we're at it, they're also going to implement Ficsit networks with this mod as well, which can only be a good thing if you ask me. Just proves that I really need to learn some Lua coding. Now, I will actually cover the rest of these milestones a little bit quicker, as we've already mentioned them more or less previously in the old spotlight. So moving on, we have Refined Power Mk3 needing 200 encased industrial beams, 500 quick-wire, and 50 heavy modular frames. These allow us to unlock the Mk2 and Mk3 wind turbines. Now, Mk2 wind turbines aren't affected by the Mk1 turbines being nearby, and they have a 7 foundation distance between other Mk2s, while the Mk3 wind turbines now require 10 foundations distance. This makes the mod a lot more balanced, but I still have issues with proximity on larger wind turbines, dropping the efficiency by 50% or more. I would much rather see a drop by 25% or 30% for the first wind turbine in proximity. This would mean power on 2 Mark II wind turbines would go from 400 megawatts to 300 megawatts, rather than splitting the power in half. It's a slight oversight in my opinion, because it means adding an extra wind turbine just voids the setup completely. But that is just my opinion. That being said, this may be resolved with their future updates, which, as I mentioned, we will cover later on in this video. Next, we have refined power solar panels. Now, this hub milestone requires 100 photovoltaic cells, 500 quick wire, and 50 heavy modular frames to unlock. And like before, allows us to build a little solar power generator with a storage battery attached. Now, the Mark II, as far as I know, generates 100 megawatts, and the slider in the user interface allows us to store it for backup use at night, for example. But I'm really looking forward to seeing this part of the mod develop so that we can use the batteries as a backup for when there is no power or there's a power blackout. We then have advanced modular sizzling, which gives us upgrades for the boiler, turbine, and generator, allowing us to improve the efficiency of our modular power plants so that we can produce more power at the cost of 100 plastic, 50 rubber, and 500 copper sheets. We then have the modular combustion, giving us a solution heater so that we can burn fuel instead of coal, and this unlock costs 50 computers, 300 plastic, 300 rubber, and 50 encased industrial beams. And from then, we move on to the late game refined power mod, boasting the micro reactor and arc reactor using the refined E65, which we covered in more detail in the previous spotlight, followed by the Dyson sphere, and lastly we have modular parting, which gives us the nuclear heater and HV generator, boosting a lot more power. This final milestone costs 200 computers, 100 heavy modular frames, 50 high-speed connectors, and 250 alclad aluminium or aluminum sheets. So, the question is this mod worth playing about with? Well, most definitely in my opinion, and I often mention this as one of the best mods available with a dedicated team working on the mod. That being said, there are a fair few bugs which have occurred since the update, so I should mention that the team are currently working hard on fixing all of them. Currently, there's been over 45 bugs fixed, and they've still got a few to go. Up until now, though, I've yet to have a problem personally with this update, and then after that, they'll be having a short break as they've worked non-stop on this. Their next big project after their mini vacation is the farming mod, which will have a whole new revamp, so I'm very excited for that. And I should also mention that they're not finished with refined power either. Their future plans include a wind turbine overhaul, giving us real wind, which I hope means greater power production in natural wind tunnels, such as canyons, and also relation between power generated and the height map. They also want to revamp solar to work with batteries, and they mentioned possibly some other electric stuff like natural gas, which really has piqued my interest. Also, I should mention that if you feel they're doing an awesome job and pushing mods in the right direction for this game, then you can support them should you wish to via Patreon. I'll put the link below, and I know the team of 5 would greatly appreciate any support. They're also so close to reaching their first goal, which would give them each a little kickback for all the hard work that they've put in. Now, if you want to know more about the other parts of the mod, including the strange E65 substance or the Dyson sphere, then I do recommend checking out the old spotlight, as I do go into a lot more detail. And if you enjoy my content, don't forget to drop a thumbs up, and why not join us on Twitch or subscribe on here. Anyway guys, until next time, thank you so much for watching, And as always, ciao for now.